Ugh. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Check Your Six, the podcast covering Collegiate Rainbow Six, as well as U.S. Nationals and the Pro League, mostly focused on North America, but we do dive into the juicy bits of the other regions as well. And we might even talk about the minor tonight if we have some time. And tonight, I am once again joined by Syntax, former Texas A&M player.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Check Your Six podcast. We've got some pretty good stuff for you tonight. So, ready to get going?
Totally. Well, it's been a while since we were able to broadcast, so that's been one unfortunate technical difficulty after another. So we're going to have to go back a couple weeks. I know we had a week off from competition due to the Thanksgiving holiday, but we're going to go back to week 4's action and talk about how things actually ended up.
Is your internet doing okay, Joe?
It should be doing fine. Everything looks great on my screen. Though my face looks a little twitchy in OBS, but I can't help it. It's hard to contain this.
All right. So to kick off, do you want to go Pro League first?
Pro League?
Yeah.
By all means, go Pro League.
Okay. So to kick off a little bit of Pro League, so to finish up our whole roster change, in a shuffle shenanigans. I don't remember I if I mentioned everything, but so first off, Slashug, one of the old Rogue players, he went to Luminosity, so you'll see Slashug on Luminosity now, and they dropped Tomas, which is unfortunate. Tomas is a good player, and he's actually a really good guy. I'm a little disappointed they dropped him, but it happens. It's business. But they picked up Slashug, and actually he's doing really well. So far, they played their first match in OGA Pit, and he did extremely well. So it's really good to see that he's kind of blooming with those players. And then, Gotcha actually left. He left TSM as their coach, and he went to EG as a player. And then EG dropped Geometrics. Okay, and then Rec picked up Geo, I think that's what it was. So Rec picked up Geo, and they dropped. So they dropped Skies or Skis, however you want to say it. They dropped Skis for Geo, right? DZ picked up Skis, and they also picked up Eclipse from Rogue. So the other Rogue guys went to DZ. So Eclipse went to DZ, and then Slashug went to LG. Sorry, I'm brain for it. But so DZ picked. So in total, DZ picked up. They dropped Nyx, and BC went back to coaching role, and they picked up Skis and Eclipse. So those guys are on the DZ team now, which is actually pretty insane. Both those players are really good. And then, so to sum up Rec, they dropped Mark the Shark and they dropped Skis. Picked up Geo and Nyx. Nyx went from DZ to Rec. And then I think that's it. I think that was the end of the shuffle.
So, yeah, and this was supposed to be a calm one too.
Yeah, I think Space Station is the only ones that didn't do anything.
Yeah, Lycan was oh so proud to announce that and ruin my tinfoil hat therapy.
Yeah, the only thing that Space Station did new is they brought on a guy named Luke. He was the analyst slash coach for Disrupt Gaming. And so they brought him on as their analyst on a trial basis to see how he does. So that's That's the whole space station shenanigans. The whole unexpected thing that Lycan was talking about. So they picked up him from Disrupt.
And how well did Disrupt do in this last rotation?
Are you talking about like for Challenger League?
Yeah.
They did okay. That's about as best as I can put it. It was okay. They didn't do great and they didn't do terrible. They performed about average. Um, I think that if they did a little bit better, they would have made it to relegations, but they didn't. They didn't. They started off pretty good and they finished pretty bad. So kind of averaged them out to average. So they finished right in the middle.
The space station's got to know something about this guy to make that pick up because they
Well, I
lost
mean,
an
if you think
analyst
about
and they
it,
wanted to pick someone up, and so it makes sense to have that role filled. But I mean, coming from someone who's been in Challenger League, I don't know his history either, so I don't know if it's like he's been on pro teams before.
I mean,
Um,
he could be a great analyst. The thing is like the thing is about analysts, is that it's the team's performance is not really depictive of your work. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't force the
that's
you
really
can't
true.
force the horse to drink. So you can give the players all the information they need, everything that they could possibly want for the match, and then just underperform. That's the player's fault. It's not the analyst's fault. So maybe this guy has some really good analytical work that he showed them, and they're like, yeah, we actually love this. And so they were like, we really like this guy's work. Let's bring him on for a while. OGA Pit is a great way to test that out. He's on a trial basis, and so um, I think this is his trial is OGA. So
It's also possible that U.S. Nationals next week will also be a good test for him. Because I mean, if he's coming into the U.S. Pro League, like, yeah, the international competition's good, and like they start playing with the other NA teams, but like going into U.S. Nationals, where it's like the teams that you're more likely to face during the next pro season, um, it could be a great way to break in.
yeah, definitely. Well, speaking of OGA Pit, um, so on what is it? Tuesday, Monday. Nope, Saturday.
You don't
OGA
know, do you?
last Saturday. I, I was thinking it was like Monday, but it was actually a little bit farther back. So currently, um, so from let's do from Monday, November 4th to this Friday, right? Um, right now, so okay, so there's a match between the MIBR and the Black Dragons that actually, for some reason, it's still awaiting match results. I think there was like a protest, if I remember correctly.
Oh boy.
Um, yeah, it's a Latin American match, so it's whatever. But for as for NA,
Harsh.
um, so as for NA, Space Station played Sonics. Space Station won. There's no surprise there. 2-0. LG played EG. LG won 2-0 against EG, which is actually really really interesting to see. LG is getting strong, especially with slash hug. His name is so inconvenient to say. I don't know
It
if that
really
makes sense.
is.
Slash hug, Slash is doing well on space or on EG or LG. God dang it. Um, uh, G2 beat BDS, which is quite interesting. Because BDS has been performing really well right now, and G2 has not been performing. So seeing them perform the opposite of how they have been performing is very interesting to see. Shaiko, he's been um, playing his ass off recently. With the his kills per round are insane. If you go look at his like individual stats, it's ridiculous how high his KPR is. But anyways, Team Secret played fours and Secret won. This was also a very big a big loss. I expected Force to win. Force has been one of those teams that is just been a force to be reckoned with lately. They're a Russian team that recently got relegated from Challenger League to Pro League in EU. So seeing Team Secret beat Fours was surprising, nonetheless, or at the least. BDS played Fours next. BDS tied with Fours, which was interesting to see. I mean, it was. I actually watched that match. That was a really good match. I'm surprised they tied, but I mean, at the same time, it doesn't surprise me because like I would honestly say that they're about on par with each other. So like I was kind of disappointed to see that they tied, but at the same time, I'm not surprised. Kind of confusing, but that's just the way my mentality is working on that one.
Totally.
Um, so those were the OGA, NA, and EU groups, and then we get into the international, right? That's where like everyone starts to play each other. Um, Space Station played Norango. Space Station 120. As much as I love the Rango guys, wasn't really surprised to see Space Station win. Norango's
Yeah.
been they've been kind of suffering lately. They started to go downhill pretty quickly once Pac-Man retired. um, he was still in his peak. He was a stupidly good player. And then he all of a sudden he was just like, "I'm retiring," and everyone's like, "What the hell, man? Like, you're doing really good. Like, you haven't been playing for long, and you're doing really good." And all of a sudden, it's just like, "I'm done. I'm retiring."
The travel must
So
have gotten to him and the pressure to play and all that. It would be interesting to hear what his reasoning was.
yeah. But next, okay, so this right here, this was I woke up to this this morning. MIBR beat G2.
That's incomprehensible if we're talking like a year and a half ago.
Oh, yes, dude. Like I would never in a million years think that MIBR was going to beat G2. And they did. They beat him 2-1. Um okay, so what this means, why I find this so entertaining is that G2 back-to-back world champs. They have been performing so poorly that they have had every chance in the world to qualify for invitationals and they have pissed them all away. The last chance that they have to qualify for Siege Invitationals is their open qualifier, as the EU open qualifier. That's the last chance. If
Yikes.
they don't win that open qualifier, they're done. They won't be going to invitational. They won't be able to defend their title.
And
Some people.
when you look at that MIBR match, like it went 3 maps and they 7-1 against MIBR on the very first map on Villa. And then 7-5 to 7-4 in MIBR's favor on Clubhouse and Consulate respectively. Like that's heartbreaking. You come out so strong and then you have 2 solid maps, but then it just gets away from you. Like that's got to be so disappointing.
Yeah, it's very disappointing.
It seems like they're like G2's in the case of inconsistency and like just not being able to really adapt in the moment and be able to stay on the game at all times. Like they have their hot spots and that's just not good enough.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with them. Um, so G2 actually dropped possibly the best support player in Siege. They dropped Goga. Goga is the notorious do whatever it takes to get a plant down person, and he is the best at doing that. And for some reason, they dropped him. G2 dropped Goga, and they picked up this guy from EU Challenger League. His name was Kryn, like Kyrin. Um, he's not doing very well. A lot of people are questioning G2's decision behind dropping Goga and picking up this guy. Maybe it's just, you know, I think the problem behind it is that those guys have been playing for so long and they have had this team synergy for so long that having this new guy kind of is throwing a wrench in all of their plays because this guy doesn't know. I guess they haven't molded together very well, or maybe
I
he's
mean,
not as just good, but
it's a
um,
five-man squad. Like I'm assuming they have alts and backup players and everything, but like he's made it to the starting lineup, and he is one of five players. No matter what you change in that one of five, any amount of change is going to be crazy disruptive. And given that this guy is coming from the Challenger League, like you now have this unmolded block of clay. It's going to take time to get him in structure and in stride with the rest of his team. And it's not like American football where it's like, oh yeah, we picked up a quarterback in our first round draft pick and he's just going to be immediately a starter. Like, and then you expect that guy to do well. Like he's going to the worst team, not in this, but like in American football drafting. First round draft, first pick is usually a quarterback to the worst team in the league. So you can't expect success when you make such a drastic move like that, especially when you're taking away someone who has a very specific style that the team has grown up around, and then drop that style and that way of play and how that meshes with the rest of the players. Like, there's going to be dramatic effects to that.
yeah, I haven't had a chance to watch Kryn play yet. But honestly, I think what it's coming down to is the fact that like a lot of rounds that G2 has played in the past relied on Goga's innate ability to just plant and survive. Um, and that has won them so many matches because the rest of the team is insanely good at like once the plant is down, they're insanely good at being able to cut off every single point of entry and flank to the diffuser.
It's
Like I have
important that you said that because I just pulled up the match results in that MIBR matchup. Every single round was decided by elimination. There was not even a single plant defend or planted victory. It's all elimination. So when you're telling me that G2 no longer has a mechanic, a play style that forces their opponents into an objective stance, you're just relying on gunning. Like that seems like that is a drastic enough change. Like when you're saying that planting the diffuser like has been a crux and has won them so many rounds. When you don't see that at all in their play, you know something's off.
Yeah. I don't know if they started like wanted to go away from relying on plan to just relying on pure fragging power. I'm not sure if that was their intent. Um, but I don't know.
It's come at a cost.
Yeah, I guess it's too early to tell. Let's hope that they don't um, mess up the qualifiers. Let's hope that they can get their shit together and make it to invitationals. But I don't know. I don't know why they would do that. I don't know why they would drop Goga. Maybe it was just a team decision. Maybe they started to have inter team issues with him or whatnot. But it's a business, not a brotherhood. So I think
Do
they
you know
probably
where?
should have kept him.
Do you know where Gogo went off to?
He is currently a free agent. Yep, he's just hanging out. The best planter and Siege is just hanging out. So, if you're a team looking for for the best support player in Siege, he's available.
Well, there you go.
But anyways, um, today, this morning, at 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. Central Time, BDS played Team Liquid. Team Liquid won, which is also pretty awesome. I'm glad to see Team Liquid come back and win in a lot more matches, especially against BDS and Shaiko's dominancy. So that was good to see. And then LG playing Team Secret and LG winning 2-0. LG has currently beat two insanely good teams that honestly they normally probably would have lost to. EG and Team Secret. Secret is especially against a team who just came from beating fours. Secret just beat fours 2-0. And then LG comes back and beats Team Secret 2-0. That is insane. For
That
LG,
is
like
pretty crazy.
I honestly like. Well, hold on. Let's pull up this match here. Let's look at the stats.
Which one? Team
Sla-
Secret?
Slashug plus 16 for KD. He went 33 and 17 the whole match.
Wow.
Slashug is dominating. I don't know what he did. Maybe it's the change of team. Maybe he was just being held back by his old team, but ever since he joined LG, he has hit the ground running.
And it
Um
was like his pick was Lion and Vigil?
that's Pulse. Yeah, Lion and
Pulse, yeah.
Pulse. It's crazy. Um KD is 1.94 and his KPR was 1.27. Um for anyone listening that is new to the whole comp scene, when you're looking at stats and you're looking at kills per round, which is KPR, pretty much anything above 1.0 is impressive. Um, I would say about 0.7 to 0.9 is average for a pro league match. So going 1.27 is insanely good.
Once every 3 rounds, he was getting 2 kills. And every other round,
Yeah.
he was getting a single one. So either a counter kill or just the opening frag. Like, that's. And wherever it came in, it was valuable.
Mm-hmm. Let's take a look at the LG versus EG. This has sparked my curiosity. Okay, never mind. This was still when they had Tomas.
Oh, yeah. Because that was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. So this LG versus Team Secret was Slash's like debut match with LG, and he just dominated, which makes me honestly like really excited. Like all these changes like are intense for NA, and it makes me extremely excited to watch Pro League Season 11 when it starts. I really want to see like how this changes up the whole like status of the
Yeah.
Pro League teams, because like honestly when you look at it, like no team is like the same from last season, and that's crazy. Like I can't look at like um I can't look at even DZ. I can't look at DZ, and be like, this is the same team. It's not the same team. Um when I first came into contact with DZ, they still had Jarvis on their team, and now now he's gone, and they had picked up Hyper, and then now they dropped Nyx for Skis, and BC's now back to coaching. Now they have Eclipse, and everything's just kind of fluid at the moment, and it's exciting.
Absolutely. And I mean, Space Station Gaming, they stayed the same, but at the same time, you have to respect that stance to like not change and be like, we're going to grow into this. We like who we have. The team is gelling. We have reason to believe that bringing in this different analyst is going to change things up, so we don't need to change anything. And that's one stance that I haven't seen a whole lot across a lot of esports is when roster changes are allowed, everyone shuffles. Everyone does that move to be like, okay, we need to drop our weakest player because this is who we perceive to be weak right now, and we need to pick up someone else's player and make some concessions to get someone else. But SSG staying to their guns, sticking to their guns, and being like, "This is our core. We're good with this for at least another year." That is a commendable stance to be in.
Mm-hmm. Um, I I don't know what else to say other than I'm excited.
Yeah,
Really
absolutely. And we'll get into more of the matchups next week, but like we're going to start seeing even more of this next week with the U.S. Nationals. So that's another exciting event coming up.
Yeah, for those um, watching live at least, if you want to watch the next match, it starts in 2.5 hours. On Rainbow Six's Twitch channel, it's going to be Space Station versus MIBR, which is going to be an excellent match. So,
I'm going to be up for it, so maybe I'll watch it.
Space Station, who's been dominating, and MIBR, who's been dominating, who just beat G2. So, that's going to be pretty good match. And then also at whoever's going to be awake, for those working the night shift at 5 a.m. Central Time, Liquid's going to be playing LG. So we'll get to see another Slash game.
Oh, that will be another really good matchup.
Yeah, Liquid's been doing really good, and LG's all four of these teams have been doing really good. So
I guess with that, we're back to the CR6 league.
yeah, so we are finally in the Premier playoffs. Um, Currently, out of 32 matches, only 7 have been played, but I think they all have to be done by tomorrow. So next week we'll have that full first round to talk about.
Yep.
Um, so out of the 7 matches, right? Well, let's go down the list here. University of Houston lost to UNC Charlotte. And you were telling me earlier that this is bad for Houston.
It's real bad for Houston.
What are you saying that they have just been tanking?
Yeah, no, they since I would say halfway through phase two, I don't think they've won a single match, which is why they dropped to 16th in the Premier League. Like they won their first 2 matches and they were looking pretty solid in phase two, and obviously they did really well in phase one to make it into Premier League. And I was really curious how a Texas A&M Alpha versus University of Houston was going to play out, but they slowly just dropped the rest of the Premier League, and then for them to go out against 49th, they lost to a team that wasn't even in the Premier League. That's kind of the line in the sand. Now it's hard to draw the difference between like 32nd and 49th from like phase one and everything because it was all basically within the same round differential and barely the same record or just off by 1 game. So really understanding the strengths of a Premier League or a low ranked Premier League team and a high ranked main division, like that's hard to say, but to have your former champions drop to 16th, which is halfway from the Premier League, which contained first through 32nd, to have them lose to a team that was outside of the Premier League, that's kind of surprising.
Yes. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, University of Houston was last season's winner, grand finalist winner. And now they're just, excuse my French, but shitting the bed. So I don't
I mean,
know.
what this means for their fall season is it's done, and they have to go back to the drawing board to get ready for the spring season to see if they can hold on to their major title. Because I think the way teams look at this is that the fall is very much the feeling out phase, and then the the spring season is really the one where people want to dominate and win and actually take home the prize with that one.
Yeah. Um, let's hope. Okay, yeah. So University of Houston is officially out, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, so they're out. So yeah, so they're back to the drawing board. Well, I guess maybe they'll rearm and regroup and come back strong next season. But I honestly don't see that happening. Um, so
Yeah,
for the
if the
next, go for it. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, like, if there were any adjustments they could have made, like they've been sitting on them for a couple weeks because they probably couldn't make certain roster changes during this, and so if there's a move to make, they've already made it. They're allowed to make it just because they're already out, and if they really want to get back and try and hold on to their spring title, they're gonna have to get to work real hard, real fast.
Yeah, I agree. They're gonna have to do something serious for next season if they want to come back strong. But moving on. So out of Grand Canyon and Illinois State Team 1, Grand Canyon won 2-0, which is no surprise there.
Yep.
I think Grand Canyon's the only team right now to have a perfect score. No, and Akron. Grand Canyon and Akron are perfect scores, I believe.
No, Grand Canyon lost at least one game. It's
Oh, it's
Akron
UCF
and
Alpha,
yep,
correct? Yeah,
yeah,
Akron and UCF
it's
Alpha.
UCF. Yeah,
Okay, all right. Grand Canyon taking over Illinois State Team 1, and then New York Tech beat out FIU. I can't really say much on this match because I'm not familiar with New York Tech. They're new this season. Um, I don't think so. FIU is number 12. They were seed number 12 in the Premier League, and New
which
York Tech
is
was number 53 from the main league. And I'm honestly surprised to see how many main league players are beating these premier teams. Maybe they just had a bad run in the initial matches, and they're actually like premier level teams, um, and they're just kind of coming back and you know, actually showing themselves. I think that might be the case here. So we'll see who the actual players are now that the main leaguers are in. Um, UW, I think that's Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin Whitewater. Um, beat out DSU. Um, Now UW Whitewater is an actual Premier League team, and they beat the number 50th seed in main league, which was DSU. Um, CU Boulder, who's seed number 7 in the Premier League, played seed number 58, which is the UTSA A team. Um, I don't know what UTSA stands for. What is that? University of
Texas
Tech. Okay,
San
University of
Antonio.
yeah, University of Texas San Antonio. Okay, they were number 58, if I read that number correctly, in
Yep,
the main league. So, um, I guess that's no real surprise there. They beat them 2-0. So CU Boulder moves on. Plus, CU Boulder's a good team.
they're an incredible
Um,
team. I mean, they're 3-1 in the Phase Two Premier League, so they held their own against the top teams that were selected for the Premier League. So for them to come out in 2-0, one of the bottom seeds, like I don't think that's too much of a surprise at all.
yeah. Um, who is that? Okay. So number 23, Okay, so Auburn University Blue. I think both these teams are main leaguers. If I'm reading that correctly,
Yeah,
is
I would assume
Auburn
so.
Okay, so Auburn and Champlain College, number 23, number 42, played each other, and Champlain actually won. So they're moving up in the world. They're moving on to round two or to the round of Was
32.
that round of 32? Um, and then the last match that was played was San Jose State versus Ferris State. San Jose is ranked number 7 in Premier League, so they are even above Boulder. So San Jose played Ferris State. Ferris State was number 59 in the main league, if I see that correctly. 59 in the main league, so no surprise there that they 2-0'd Ferris State. So San Jose moves on to round of 32.
What it's looking like, and when we think about the teams that are making that top 8, that's because they're in the breakdown of the leagues. In 32 teams, there's 2 teams that will go 4-0, and then there's 8 teams that will go 3-1, and so that's the first through 10th, respectively. So San Jose went 3-1 against other Premier League teams, and San Jose was a competitor last year, very stalwart in their efforts and everything. And Ferris State, they were also there for the first few weeks, I believe. But seeing that they have a Crimson team, that to me that tells me there's more than one team, and I didn't see if there was another Ferris State in this particular playoff bracket. So for them to go up against the number 6 overall, and it's been a team that's been consistent, like, yeah, you can't expect a whole lot, or you can't expect a whole lot of difference between this. But what it's looking like is, because if we look at FIU versus New York Tech, FIU was 12th seed. It looks like that top 10 is actually going to be that creme de la creme. That's where that drop off starts happening. Um, and so I think even as we start seeing 20th versus 40th, it can be anyone's match. I think after that top 10, it's the difference between teams is actually a lot smaller. That's what it looks like to me. And maybe have kind of the inverse effect of like the bottom 10, the bottom 54th through 64th. I think that's probably where you start seeing that difference in a lesser degree, in the bad way, with those teams. So when you start putting the 7th versus 60th and that kind of thing, it's just going to be 2-0'd every time. But if we can use FIU as an example, we might be seeing more of those bracket upsets when we start looking at teams above 10th place.
Yeah, I agree. I think I may be agreeing with you here, but I think we're gonna start to see like the best of the best come about round 3.
Yeah, and I believe by the time we get to round 3, let's see, round 3, that's going to be best of, or that's going to be the round of 16.
16.
So I can imagine a world where 3 of those teams come from the main division, where they're not in the top 32.
Say that last part one more time.
I can see 3 teams that exist outside of the top 32 in the round of 16.
Really?
Yeah, I could see that many, and no more than 3 though. I think that's just because a few of the matchups are just going to be favorable in terms of play style, but otherwise, I think that I would even be willing to say between 15th and 50th, you probably have more class or close matchups than ever before. Like if you put 15th versus 50th, I think that that's a 3 map kind of game. I don't think that that's a 2-1 because of inconsistent play, because of stylistic differences between regional differences. I think that once you get to that 15th through 50th, that it's just whoever can outgun and outplay in that moment. Like essentially every round is going to be coming up clutch because it could go so sideways so quickly.
Yeah. Actually, I just got a live update um, for the number 16 match, Bronco Esports versus St. Clair. St. Clair just won. Their score was just reported, so St. Clair's moving on. Bronco Esports got knocked out.
And so, like, kind of what I was talking about before we started was that Broncos Esports Gold and Broncos Esports Green uh, finished the Premier League 22nd and 23rd. And so I'm assuming Broncos Esports Green is a lower tiered team than Gold, just because of naming standards,
Yeah.
I guess. But if Gold is already knocked out, if Green can go farther than Gold, assuming that that's the relationship, it means that the lower tiered team actually outlasted their upperclassmen, so to speak, which would be
Yeah.
really cool to say.
Um, that's funny you say that when you say like they beat their upperclassmen. There's something I was thinking about the other day. And this kind of applies heavily towards the college teams that a lot of people are denying teams scrims because they might be team 3, right? Our C team was trying to scrim another team and they got denied. This team denied them because they were C team, right? But the thing is our C team is actually really good. Um, what I think a lot of people don't understand is that when a school has multiple teams, it's not like sports where it's like varsity and JV and stuff like that. A school might just have multiple teams, and they all might be good. Just because they're labeled. I think that's why a lot of these teams are naming their teams like zips and gold and stuff like that. Is so like you don't know which one is team 1, team 2, and team 3. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense because and you're absolutely correct in calling this out. And this was my bad on my assumption. My assumption was that there is a straight up, depending on the program, it could be very well be this way. Here's your varsity, here's your JV, here's your backup JV players, and like you group them all up into squads, and that's how they play. Or it could very well be that that this college doesn't have a formal structure, and that this is really just a group of guys who want to go play and another team who wants to play over here, and they have no idea of each other's strengths. They have no idea. There's even potential that both teams don't even know that the other exists.
Um, for A&M, we have 4 teams. I think there's just a Delta team, but the thing is like our Alpha team was just the first group of guys to get together um and start playing. We're the best team at or the Alpha team is the best team at the school currently just because we've been playing together longer. And we just have more experience. The B and C teams, they're both really good teams. They're more guys who came in. They're like, oh, like we want to play collegiate too, and they just were like, form your own team. And so they just kind of got together and formed a team. It wasn't like, okay, this guy's going to B team because he's better than this guy. This guy's going to C team because he's worse than this guy. It wasn't organized. It was like these guys got together like, hey, we're gonna form a team, and then more guys got together like, hey, we're gonna form a team too. We're like, okay, that's fine with us. And so I think that like what I'm trying to get at is that like whenever if you're listening, if you're playing a team that is happens to be the second team or the third team, don't underestimate them just because they're the third. They're not the primary team. Um, Now some schools may be like that. They may be structured as like a varsity and JV, but I think the primary assumption should just be to not assume.
Yeah, that's actually a very good lesson. That's proving your point very well, is that we don't know the decisions that were made and how these teams were decided. And so and you're absolutely right to use Texas A&M as the bar and as an example, because They were runners up last season, and so you expect Alpha to be really good, but then your next assumption should be that Bravo is also really good, Charlie's really good, Delta's really good because of how far up that the bar starts. And assuming that someone's weak because they're Delta or Charlie or whatever, like that's just setting yourselves up for disappointment.
Yeah, yeah. You're setting yourself up for disappointment if you make all the wrong assumptions.
One good thing that this does give us when we have multiple teams from a single university is that now we have inner school competition. And so now there's even more, there might even be inner school rivalries. Like Bronco Green versus Bronco Gold. Maybe it's one dorm versus another dorm, basically. I could see that
Yeah,
happening.
yeah, it's definitely possible. Yeah, oh yeah, make teams based off of dorms.
Yeah. That,
That
I
would
mean,
be, I mean, that would also be the assumption that like there's enough people playing the game in each dorm to form teams for each dorm, but that would be kind of cool. I would like to see that.
yeah, no, I think that could be a lot of fun. It would be a lot of fun to see even just casual gaming clubs streaming an R6, like 2v2 kind of strategy or kind of casual tournament.
Yeah, we're actually A&M is actually trying to find a or like procure a dedicated like room to have like lands in, so then we can get like like the A, B, and C team together and go to this like LAN room and like play with against each other and do scrims and like kind of just have a lot of fun. Um, I don't think we have been able to find a room yet, but maybe one day.
There
Maybe
you
one
go.
day and it will let us.
And so, I mean, that's where the premier playoffs are at right now. We need to go back a little bit farther to even talk about the week 4 of phase 2 matchups that happened, because where we left it was, and I know I mentioned this earlier, so it's a little bit of a spoiler, but I apologize. We're kind of going reverse chronologically right now. But week 4 actually had Akron versus CSULB and Texas A&M Alpha versus UCF Alpha. Those were the 4 3-0 teams at that time, and Akron beat CSULB to make them a 4-0 team, and UCF Alpha team beat Texas A&M Alpha um, to also claim the other 4-0 seed. So the Texas A&M Alpha and CSULB fell to third and fourth respectively, and then from there it was other teams who lost to other 3-1 teams or 3-0 teams and broke it out to the top 10, like I mentioned earlier, and then from 11th down to what is it? 22nd, everyone was 2-2, 2 wins, 2 losses. uh, some of those matchups were quite impressive. So let me bring over the screen. UCF Alpha beating A&M was a big deal. I mean, having 2 4-0 playoffs. Um, sorry, I totally just lost my train of thought. Uh, having the 4-0 teams go at, or 3-0 teams go at it and figure out who's going to be that top tier, that was important for everyone to understand the power of things and where that was going to fall down from there. We had other opportunities, so like San Jose State beating Grand Canyon. That's another one of those 3-0 teams going into week 4 and seeing where everything happens. Or 2-1 team versus a 3-0 team, and so then you get that breakdown of both teams being 3-1, and it really levels that playing field. And oh, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I think the last thing that I was going to call out was that really we saw mostly what we, or I saw mostly what I expected. So San Jose in my mind was stronger than Grand Canyon, so that led to that. ASU for how big their school is and how many people they have playing, I just have to assume that they have a strong team there. So seeing them win over NJIT didn't really surprise me much. Broncos Gold and Broncos Green, seeing how those teams have been so close, for Broncos Gold to beat Tennessee Tech, but then Broncos Esports Green to lose to Cincinnati, that made sense. Like Broncos Gold pulling back ahead against a weaker opponent, while Broncos Green playing against someone who was actually pretty consistent early on. So I think that they might have just tripped at the finish line, so to speak. Which I mean, it was a trade between basically Broncos Green finishing high in the 2-2s, or finishing low in the 3-1s, or high in the 2-2s, low in the 2-2s because of Cincinnati's position in the leaderboard. So not a whole lot that I think was different. UGA Red, they've been pretty consistent too, but I don't think they had many notable opponents going into phase two, or none that really seemed to be like, oh yeah, I expected you to win again or to lose against them. So to have them at ninth seed and over UW Whitewater, like that just kind of set the stage for the playoffs. But Whitewater, when going on to win, like obviously it didn't hurt their chances much dropping that far into the bracket. And that's really about that all that I see. What else did you see?
Um, I think the most notable thing that I have been noticing are a lot of the lower seeds are winning against the higher seeds. Um, and honestly, that's good. Um,
I agree.
because now the bracket isn't monopolized by all of the higher seeds. These lower seeds are finally like are able to like make a name for themselves. Um, now that the playoffs have started, you know they have been given a chance to make a name for themselves in the playoffs by doing this whole like bracket mixture, and the fact that these lower seeds are finally coming up and winning and moving on to the next rounds, are is really um, it's really good for them because now if depending on how far they get, they're gonna make it from let's say Champlain College, who was 42 in the main league, right? Let's say they make it all the way to round of 8, right? This number 42 seed in the main team has made it to round of 8, which means that they're going to be a lot higher seed next season, and they're probably going to make it into the Premier League, you know. Um, and so then we're going to start getting more fresh blood into the league, and more, and all this a lot of this mixture instead of a lot of the same teams that we're seeing now. And I think that's good. I think that's good for the league.
I agree. I'm trying to pull up the main division playoffs right now, and you actually see a number of those examples as well where the lower seed is winning. Like, for example, 41st seed beating Providence College, 24th seed overall, 2-0. Like that's pretty impressive. Like that's a significant win in terms of bracketing. Going down farther, we also saw that there was another one. Where'd it go? Sorry, I just pulled this up. Marquette. No, Marquette was higher. Where did it go? Oh, Washington State. Washington State University, 41st, pulling out against Providence College, 24th. So, and it's kind of falling into that same bracketing that I meant earlier where it's like I see the top 10 teams being a different caliber than 11th through 54th or 53rd and then 54th through 64th being a lower echelon team. So I think that in my mind, I just see that how it's breaking down. I don't have the data to actually back that up.
Okay.
I'm trying to. I want to really look at these brackets afterwards. Um,
Like after all the matches are done, the initial
yeah,
matches.
after the best of or round of 64 is shown up, and I'm actually getting information live from chat saying that University of California San Diego just upset um, Maryville 7-0, 7-3 for a final map score. I want to go back and find that real quick.
Raging Baboon says you'll need to keep an eye on University of California, San Diego. They were a main team, however, had to forfeit in phase one. So we're put in May, and they upset Maryville in Premier Playoffs. Oh, what do you mean by keep an eye on them? I mean, UCSD has always been a good team. I mean, they were the season one winners.
Season 1 winners, I believe they were top 8 last season, and if they had just had that unfortunate forfeit, like, yeah, that's not noted very easily for us to find, and being able to project how those kind of decisions played out in the bracketing and the seeding and everything, like, that would be huge information to have, which I will have to go talk to CR6 about getting more of those designations called out. But that's huge information for us to think about. And if we knew how many times that happened, we could probably start putting together a better picture of the power teams to think about. And yeah, I mean, honestly, I was surprised to see UCSD not being a real part of the Premier League competition.
Yeah. So he says they upset Maryville in Premier Playoffs. Um, so UCSD is if you're new to the league, Maryville hasn't had a very good run with things in the past. And UCSD has, they won season 1 and then season 2 my A&M team we took them out in playoffs. I mean, I'm not discrediting them. They're a good team, UCSD. And Maryville, they're good players, but UCSD is just better than Maryville. There's no other way to sugarcoat it. So I mean, I'm not surprised they beat Maryville. Not surprised at all. And Maryville is having to play CSULB, um, either tonight or tomorrow because they have to finish by tomorrow. Um, this is going to determine where Maryville truly lies as a team because CSULB, they're a good team. They're not as good as San Diego. Um, they're just above average. So if Maryville can beat CSULB, that will tell me that Maryville is making improvement. However, if they fail to beat CSULB, that means they have not made any changes, they haven't practiced, they haven't improved.
Wait, so when is Maryville supposed to play
That's their
CSUB?
match. That's who they're matched up
I see
against.
Maryville versus UCSD in the round of 64, and they just lost. So Maryville would be done. Are you looking at one of the Premier League Phase 2 matchups?
I thought it was CSULB.
No, they just like
Oh,
the
okay.
Raging Baboon is saying that US or UCSD just beat Maryville, so 37 seed versus 28th seed.
Okay, well then I'm crazy. Disregard everything I said. I'm dumb. So forgive me. I thought they were playing. I thought they were playing CSGLB.
We
First of all, if
have
it's all new to you, that's fine. That's fine. If it's all new to you, that is just fine. That's what we as a team here are for. We are here to explain the whole league and talk about the teams and the matches to everyone who's so.
and by all means, everyone who has information on how their teams are doing, absolutely share with us. We love to talk about this shit. So, I
You
mean,
know,
this is what we're here for every Thursday, typically and Friday tonight. But like, this is, I don't know about you, but this is what I get excited for. I like hearing about the history of these matches and finding out the new stuff and seeing where these universities really lie in power.
yeah, and it's hard for us to keep up with 64 teams. So, if people can come by and talk to us about how teams are doing, how their team is doing, how they played against other teams. Like that's really good because that allows us to talk about not only maybe your team more, give you guys some more publicity, but it allows us to talk more about the league instead of just shining light on the teams that we know. That means that we can give everyone kind of equal opportunity to get talked about.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, for anyone else who's not able to catch this stream live, you can always leave messages for the podcast, anchor.fm/check your 6/message, and you can leave an audio recording from your mobile phone Anchor app, or you can use the website anchor.fm and leave a message directly through your Chrome browser, Firefox browser, and so that's all good. We love to hear this stuff, and it's really easy for me to incorporate that into the podcast as your own audio sample. And it's really helpful for Syntax and I to have more context of how these things go, so that we can talk about it better. Really, we want to highlight all of y'all's efforts in playing Rainbow Six and playing at this highly competitive level. So the more information we have, the better we can do a job at representing you and talking about what's going on in the league.
Absolutely. Also, you can feel free to. We are both in the CR6 Discord. Mine is I'm under Jake Full Send in CR6 because that was my collegiate name. I'm under the Texas A&M squad, so you can find my name. You can send either me or Joe here. He's under. I think. Are you under like the content?
Yeah, I'm under one of the external partners breakdown type things, but you can find me podcast recall on that server.
Feel free to message us on Discord. Let us know who you are. Also, feel free to send us your VODs of your matches so then we can watch them and talk about them. Regardless of what league you're in, we'd love to watch you guys. If you want us to send us a whole VOD, go for it. I can sit here and we can play the VOD on stream, and I can sit here and kind of do a breakdown of your match for you. I'm pretty good at the whole analytical side, so if you guys want to send us your VODs, go for it. I will be more than happy to sit down and take a look at it.
And if you are willing to experiment with a really shoddy brand new observer and or caster on the West Coast, I would be happy to take invites that are typically later in the day, later in the evening, so I can stream those and or just record my own VOD and keep it private, provide it to the teams involved, and then just provide commentary afterwards without giving up much of y'all's secrets and hard work. I think that could easily be doable as well. So you can find me there as well for that kind of resource. And I think Syntax would be an amazing caster if you reached out to him as well.
Yeah, I'm also listed as a community caster in CR6, so please feel free to reach out if your team wants to be casted. Like I said, does not matter what league you're in. If you want your team to get casted, just shoot me a message and I will be happy to do it.
Well, we are over the hour-long mark, and we covered a lot of ground, and we talked about a lot of teams. So I think we're done for the evening. Is there any last messages, last thoughts that you have for this week?
I don't think so. I think what I just said is pretty much my last thoughts.
My last thoughts are congratulations to all the teams who made it into the Premier playoffs. You are the creme de la creme. You have fought your way there, but this is just the beginning. So get prepared for the spring season. Don't grow complacent. Don't grow like, oh, you're actually good at this game right now. Everything's going to change as those new operators become legal, as more operations come in, and you're going to have to adjust. So get used to that, get ready for that. And all the teams who are in the main playoffs, you know what? You're just a single match away from making Premier. We're pushing your teams even farther and even harder before. So don't be discouraged at this fall season. Just look at this as an opportunity to learn and grow and keep pushing forward. And if anything, at the very minimal, you have learned that Syntax and I are here as resources to help grow the scene and benefit everyone. Whatever your goals are in this league, we're happy to help support that. And, I like just being a part of this game and a part of this community because everyone seems to care. I mean, there's 212 teams, for God's sake. Like, that's a big deal, and that's a big commitment for the community to come out and say. So, I wouldn't be doing my part if I wasn't saying I'm open to however you all want the show to go or information that you want to send to the show. It's all valuable, and we want to highlight everyone who's taken time to participate in this because this is new and this is really exciting.
Yeah, any information helps us. It's only going to help us because we're only two guys and there are 200 teams in all of CR6. There's no way that we can keep up with every single team. I mean, we have problems keeping up with every team in the Premier League. Um,
Yeah, and
nonetheless, all of the leagues. So, we the reason that we mainly cover Premier League is because obviously the top league, but it's the easiest for us to keep up with because there's not as many teams. We are very happy to cover any team out of any league. We just need information. So if you can provide it, we will do it.
absolutely. So I mentioned it in chat and I mentioned it just prior, but if you have any feedback for us, whether it's things that you want us to talk about, whether it's saying that I suck as a host and that you want Syntax to take over the show, that's all fine too. I don't mind broadcasting that. I'll own it. And I can look at finding ways to get better for how you need me to portray this community or how you need me to provide content from the other side because I am the commentary guy. He's the stats and actual legitimate gameplay guy. So by all means, share, call it all out. I have no problem. I have no dirty laundry, no skeletons in the closet. So I think that's really it for the week. I'm excited going into the rest of the playoffs. Syntax and I are going to be doing brackets, our bracket challenge for the round of 32 on. So we're going to use this round of 64 as a baseline, and then we're going to create our brackets for the round of 32 on to see who gets the most number of picks right. I encourage you to send me your brackets if you want to join along, and we can see how well people do. But if you want to send those along, you can always email me those at warlockercall@gmail.com, and we can see whether Syntax or I do well in this bracket pick'em, but then also how badly the community just wallops on me. So I'm excited to see that too.
Yeah, yeah, we'll put together some brackets. If honestly, if enough people send us their brackets, let's say more than 10 people send us their preferred bracket, maybe we'll give away some R6 credits to whoever's the closest.
There you go. I'm down. And I've got some summoning hour podcast stickers if anyone's interested in stickers. Uh, In fact, anyone who sends me a bracket, I'll send you like 10 stickers. And it's all just for the another podcast, but you know what? No one else has these things, so by all means, I'll give it to the community who gives back by providing brackets. So we will talk about this. I'm gonna push this now. Now it's a whole thing. We've got a check your six bracket challenge going on, so we'll have to see how everyone responds to that.
Spread it to your teams. Have your whole team do one. Send them to us. Um, Spread it on the CR6 Discord. Do
If
whatever you
if
want.
if we honestly get more than 10 brackets, we're gonna have to turn that into a whole podcast episode.
Oh, I'm down. I'll do it. We'll do it.
There you go. So everyone in chat, Cryo Snacks, Raging Baboon. I don't know who else you have in chat, but those are the two who've been going off lately. So hey, you two have a responsibility of sharing with the community, and I'll post it in the CR6 Discord that we're doing this. So this is going to be a lot of fun. I hope that other teams join in and other players join in.
I hope so. This will be a lot of fun if it actually takes off. So.
And you know what? We're both going to have to do the Premier and the main division playoff brackets just so that we can get coverage, so anyone can really participate in this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me tonight. It was a great conversation, and now I'm looking forward to next week more than ever. Yeah, take it easy. Thanks for joining me, and thanks everyone in chat. It's good to get that information for a couple matches and being able to hear about that and talk about that live. So, hey, we're getting something going. People are joining in. That's exciting, and we'll hope more people join in next week.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to getting all your brackets. You guys better do it.
There you go. All right. Later, Syntax. I will see you next week.
All right. Later, guys.